quick one here. I'm watching the case of Ahmaud Arbery. I think whoever subscribes, is a member of, joins, creates a social media page, especially Facebook, because Facebook is geared for this type of garbage. Anyone who joins the social media community, I'm using scare quotes, or informer, or nosy pages, I don't know what all terms they use, but whoever joins them pages where all it is just people reporting on bad stuff happening, them people are trash. Absolute trash. And if you're white, you're honky trash. Because all that's going to do is get people of color killed. Mr. Arbery was murdered because of gossip from Facebook. That's all it was gossip from Facebook. And gossip is filled with lies, innuendo, over-exaggerations, lies, sometimes intentional, sometimes unintentional. Those pages are just, they've got a term for it. I can't think of it right now, but they're geared to scare people into fearing everybody. Everything about that case, almost everything that was on that Facebook page that led up to Mr. Arbery's death was a lie. People saying stuff was stolen, people saying, homeless people living somewhere. And furthermore, why does everybody first look at the homeless person? Okay, the biggest fear is your mortgage lender, CEOs of, car companies. They're the ones that are stealing your money. Credit card companies, they're the ones stealing your money. Look out for the rich white dude. He's the one that wants to get all your money, not some person who's homeless. That's very offensive to say, the McMichaels just in every way was prejudice. They sent the police on chasing off alleged homeless people, which doesn't even sound like there were really homeless people living there. They just saw somebody fishing and they said, I think he's homeless. I think they made up this stuff about the homeless person, quote unquote homeless person, scare quotes. I think they made up the part about him having machete. I think Travis McMichaels, while I'm at it, I'm going to say this too because I want to make this video long enough. I think Travis McMichaels made up the story about being robbed at an ATM. I think he made up the story about somebody jumping in his vehicle. I think the reason he made up these stories is because he wanted attention. For somebody for a white male, especially one who, obviously lived a privileged life, he sure has had a lot of bad things happen to him. He is calling the police constantly. He's claiming his gun was stolen or his rifle, whatever, was stolen. He's claiming his car was rifled through. They just opened the car and dumped everything out and didn't take anything, didn't steal the car. Numerous times they did this. Okay, that's just not making any sense. And according to him, it was a junkie car. So, why would people even do that? Why would people rifle through your junkie car? I could see if they want to joyride it, they'll steal it. I've had a junkie car joyridden. I think they thought maybe it was abandoned because it was in such bad shape. But it was just a joyride. They were trying to. They couldn't hotwire it because it was so old. You can't hotwire old cars like you can new cars. And they didn't know that, so they messed up the steering column. Anyways, another story. Why would people rifle through to steal something out of a junky car? People who have junky cars don't have any money, don't have any nice stuff in there, right? And furthermore, like, if it got stolen into, broken into a couple times, wouldn't you be putting it in the garage? Or maybe putting a tarp over it at night? As a preventative measure. And, like, who's going to keep coming back, rifling through your car when they already rifled through it once, either got what they wanted or didn't find anything? They're not going to keep coming back and doing it. I mean, this man, he's just a drama king. And he's constantly calling the police. And he's putting crap on Facebook and listening to Facebook, half-truths, half-knowledge. I don't know who said it, but somebody said a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. And I think people take that saying wrong. But I think a lot of people saying that, if you get a little bit of knowledge, you can impact the world and be dangerous to people who are trying to be nefarious to you, which actually... It means the opposite. If you know just a little bit of something, you can end up doing a lot of harm because you don't know the full story. And so now, this man's dead because of all, that the gossip mill, Facebook. I hope Facebook, I'm going to write Facebook and tell them, they probably won't care and be buried under a bunch of other emails. But I want to write them to say that they should not allow these gossip mills to propagate on their website, because already it resulted in, at least one death. I'm sure there's more deaths related to this gossip. So you are complete hunky trash if you belong to these gossip mills. And if you're white and you belong to one of these gossip mills, if you're anything and belong to these gossip mills, you're trash. But especially, like, if you're white, it's going to do much harm to people of color, because what happens is, because neighborhoods are still not, yes, they are segregated because of the mortgage company. What happens is all these white people gang up and say, oh, this person, fear, 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 fear. And who are they going to fear? It's going to be the brown people. Because that's what's part of our society. It's still part of our society that every time we see a brown person, of course, they're doing wrong. Especially if they look like they're in the wrong neighborhood. So what happens? You see a brown person, you call the police, you bring in hired guns, and what happens? The person dies. Or you get like the McMichaels, some, honky inbreds, chasing people down with guns because they can't get a real job or a real life. They're insecure with themselves, so they like playing with their trucks and guns and human hunting. So that's what happens. And if you belong to one of these Facebook pages, unjoin, right? And if you don't, you're trash. You're causing problems. There's been so many. We have a couple here in little old Hudson, Michigan. Total honky trash. I have heard I don't belong to any of the pages. I refuse to. I won't. Just being a member. Everybody I know says, oh, well, I don't join in the, trash talk. I only know one person that admits to talking, joining in the trash talk. But they say, oh, I'm just there to... see the news. We have a local newspaper. Don't use that as an excuse. You'd read just a local newspaper if you needed, your information. And you wouldn't join these gossip pages. They like the drama. And don't tell me you don't join in, because yes, you do. And if somebody was to say something about you, you definitely would join in. So don't even tell me you don't join into that stuff. You like the drama. That's why you go to them pages instead of the legit pages. Hudson Facebook, or, Hudson, Michigan community pages. There's a few pages, community pages that have, information updates, what's going on, blah, 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 and they do not allow the gossip. I run one myself. Home-based businesses in Hudson, Michigan. I don't allow that gossip and nonsense in that page because that's all it is. It's troublemaking nonsense. And them pages, it's the gossip, community gossip. Most of them pages, they will allow you to say anything about anybody, whether they're a member or not. And what's worse,